Welcome to the ancient realms of myth and legend, where gods intertwine with mortals and heroes embark on perilous quests. Today, we journey back in time to unravel the thrilling saga of Theseus and the Minotaur, a tale of bravery, cunning, and destiny. Our story unfolds on the sun-soaked island of Crete, a jewel of the Mediterranean Sea. The island was ruled by King Minos, a monarch of immense power and ambition. Minos was not only wealthy but also enjoyed the favor of the gods, or so he believed. His palace was a marvel of architecture, filled with treasures from across the known world, and his navy dominated the seas. One day, seeking to cement his authority and prove his divine right to rule, Minos prayed to Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea. "Great Poseidon," he implored, kneeling on the sandy shores as waves lapped at his feet, "send me a sign of your blessing, a creature so magnificent that all will know it comes from you. In return, I vow to sacrifice it back to you as a testament to my devotion." The sea churned, and from the frothy depths emerged a stunning white bull. Its coat glistened like pearls, and its eyes shone with an otherworldly light. The people of Crete gasped in awe, as the creature strode onto the beach, each step imbued with majesty. King Minos was captivated. "Such beauty," he murmured. "Surely, Poseidon will not mind if I keep this one and offer another in its place." Blinded by desire, Minos kept the bull and sacrificed an ordinary animal instead. But the gods are not easily deceived. Poseidon, enraged by Minos's deceit, decided to exact a terrible punishment. He cast a spell over Queen Pasiphae, Minos's wife, igniting in her an unnatural and uncontrollable passion for the white bull. Consumed by this curse, Pasiphae sought out Daedalus, the renowned inventor and craftsman who resided at the court. "Daedalus," she pleaded, her eyes wild with desperation, "you must help me. Construct a device that will allow me to be with the bull." Daedalus was horrified but dared not refuse the queen. He built a wooden cow, hollow on the inside, covered with real cowhide. Pasiphae climbed inside, and the bull, deceived, approached. From this unnatural union, a creature was born, the Minotaur. Half man, half bull, it possessed incredible strength and a savage hunger. Its very existence was a blasphemy, a reminder of Minos's hubris and the god's wrath. King Minos was filled with shame and fear upon seeing the monstrous infant. "This abomination cannot be allowed to roam free," he declared. "It must be contained where none can see or reach it." Once again, he turned to Daedalus. "Build a structure to imprison this creature," he ordered. "A labyrinth so intricate that escape is impossible." Daedalus set to work, designing a vast maze beneath the palace of Knossos. Corridors twisted and turned, leading nowhere and everywhere, a stone puzzle that confounded all who entered. When the labyrinth was complete, the Minotaur was locked inside, its roars echoing through the subterranean passages. But the beast's hunger was insatiable. To appease it, Minos devised a cruel tribute. Years before, his son Androgeos had been killed in Athens under mysterious circumstances. Seizing upon this, Minos waged war against Athens, defeating them and imposing a heavy penalty. Every 9 years, he decreed, his voice cold and unyielding, "Athens shall send 7 young men and 7 maidens to Crete. They will be sent into the labyrinth as a sacrifice to the Minotaur. This is the price of peace." Across the sea in Athens, the people were plunged into despair. The thought of their children being sent to a grisly fate was unbearable. Murmurs of discontent spread through the city like wildfire. In the midst of this turmoil stood Prince Theseus, son of King Aegeus. Tall and strong, with eyes that mirrored the clear Athenian skies, Theseus was renowned for his courage and sense of justice. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city, Theseus approached his father. "Father," he began solemnly, "I cannot stand idly by while our people suffer. Let me be one of the 7 youths sent to Crete. I will kill the Minotaur and end this horror." King Aegeus looked at his son, a mix of fear and pride welling up within him. "My son," he replied, his voice heavy with concern, "the Minotaur is a beast beyond mortal strength, and the labyrinth is an enigma from which none return." Theseus met his father's gaze steadily. "I understand the risks, but if I succeed, Athens will be free from Minos's tyranny." Aegeus sighed deeply. "Very well," he conceded. But promise me this, if you return victorious, hoist white sails upon your ship, so I may know of your success from afar. If not, the black sails will tell me all I need to know." "Agreed," Theseus affirmed, placing a reassuring hand on his father's shoulder. As the time of departure neared, the chosen youths gathered at the harbor. The mood was somber, their faces etched with resignation. Theseus moved among them, offering words of comfort. "Take heart," he said. "We journey not to our doom, but to reclaim our future." The ship set sail, cutting through the azure waters of the Aegean Sea. Days passed, the vast expanse of the ocean stretching endlessly before them. On deck, the youths huddled together, their voices barely above whispers. "Do you truly believe we can survive?" a young maiden asked Theseus, her eyes wide with fear. "I believe that courage and cunning can overcome even the greatest of challenges," he replied confidently. "We must not lose hope." Upon reaching Crete, they were met with a spectacle designed to intimidate. Soldiers lined the docks, their spears glinting in the sunlight. Banners bearing the Cretan bull emblem fluttered in the breeze. King Minos awaited them in his grand hall, seated upon a throne adorned with gold and ivory. His gaze was icy as he surveyed the Athenian youths. "So, the tributes have arrived," he intoned. "You should feel honored to serve a purpose in our great kingdom." Theseus stepped forward. "We come as commanded, King Minos. But know this, tyranny cannot endure forever." Minos raised an eyebrow, a faint smile playing at his lips. Bold words for someone facing certain death. Amidst the crowd stood Princess Ariadne, Minos's daughter. Her eyes met Theseus's, and in that instant, a connection sparked, a silent understanding that transcended words. Later that night, unable to banish thoughts of the brave Athenian prince, Ariadne sought him out. Under the cover of darkness, she navigated the palace corridors, her heart pounding in her chest. Finding Theseus confined within the guest quarters, she slipped past the guards and whispered, "Theseus." He turned, surprised to see her. "Princess Ariadne?" "Please," she implored, "I wish to help you." "Why would you risk so much for me?" he asked, skepticism tinged with curiosity. Ariadne hesitated, her cheeks flushing slightly. "Because what my father does is wrong. And, because I believe you can end this cycle of suffering." From beneath her cloak, she produced a gleaming sword and a ball of golden thread. "Take these," she said urgently. "Tie the thread at the entrance of the labyrinth. It will guide you back. The sword is enchanted, it will aid you in defeating the Minotaur." Theseus accepted the gifts gratefully. "You are braver than I could have imagined, Ariadne. I won't forget this kindness." Their hands brushed briefly, a fleeting touch that spoke volumes. As dawn broke, the youths were led to the entrance of the labyrinth. The structure loomed before them, a gaping maw of darkness framed by imposing stone walls etched with ancient symbols. The guards prodded them forward. Into the maze, one barked gruffly. Theseus turned to his companions. "Stay close to me," he instructed. "Together, we stand a better chance." He discreetly tied one end of the golden thread to a sturdy rock near the entrance, letting it spool out behind them as they ventured inside. The labyrinth was a cold and unforgiving place. The air was thick with the scent of damp stone and something else, something primal and foreboding. Shadows clung to the corners, and the only sound was the echo of their footsteps. As they progressed, the passages twisted in perplexing patterns. Sometimes they seemed to circle back on themselves, other times, they led to dead ends where the walls seemed to close in menacingly. "How will we ever find our way?" a young man despaired. "Trust in the thread," Theseus reassured him. "And keep your wits about you." Hours seemed to pass. Fatigue set in, and the oppressive atmosphere weighed heavily on their spirits. Just when hope began to wane, a distant sound reached their ears, a low, guttural growl that reverberated through the stone. "The Minotaur," whispered one of the maidens, her face pale. Theseus nodded grimly. "Stay here," he commanded softly. "I will face it alone. The fewer of us at risk, the better." But another began to protest. "No arguments," he cut in firmly. "Protect yourselves. If I do not return, follow the thread back to the entrance. With that, Theseus advanced toward the sound, every sense on high alert. The corridors seemed to narrow as he approached the lair of the beast. Turning a corner, he finally beheld the Minotaur. It was a terrifying sight, towering over him, muscles rippling beneath coarse hair, its bull's head crowned with razor-sharp horns. Its eyes glowed with a fierce intelligence mingled with unbridled rage. "Minotaur!" Theseus called out, gripping his sword tightly. "Your reign of terror ends today." The creature snorted, pawing the ground as it sized up this audacious challenger. With a deafening roar, it charged. Theseus dodged swiftly, the Minotaur's horns grazing the air where he had stood moments before. The walls of the labyrinth confined their movements, forcing Theseus to rely on agility rather than brute strength. The battle waged on, a deadly dance of strikes and evasions. The Minotaur swung its massive arms, claws scraping against stone as Theseus narrowly avoided each blow. Sweat poured down his brow. "I must find a weakness," he thought, eyeing the beast for any sign of vulnerability. Noticing that the Minotaur favored its right side, Theseus devised a plan. He lured the creature into a narrow passage where its movements would be restricted. As the Minotaur lunged once more, Theseus feinted to the left, then swiftly struck at its exposed flank. The enchanted sword pierced the creature's hide, eliciting a bellow of pain. Seizing the moment, Theseus pressed the attack, delivering a series of blows that drove the Minotaur back. Finally, with a decisive thrust, he plunged the sword into the beast's heart. The Minotaur staggered, its eyes dimming. With a final, mournful groan, it collapsed to the ground, the echoes of its fall reverberating through the labyrinth. Theseus stood over the fallen creature, his chest heaving. "It's done," he whispered, a mix of relief and exhaustion washing over him. Retrieving the sword, he made his way back to his companions, following the golden thread through the maze of passages. Upon seeing him, the youths erupted into expressions of joy and disbelief. "You've returned. The beast is slain?" "Yes," Theseus affirmed with a weary smile. "The Minotaur is no more. Now, we must leave this place." Guided by the thread, they navigated the labyrinth with newfound confidence. The oppressive weight of the maze seemed to lift, and soon they emerged into the fresh air of the outside world. Ariadne awaited them, her face alight with hope. "Theseus." He approached her, gratitude evident in his eyes. "Ariadne, your help was invaluable. We owe our lives to you." She clasped his hands. "Then take me with you. I cannot remain here under my father's shadow." "Of course," he agreed without hesitation. "We sail for Athens at once." Under the cover of night, they made their way to the harbor, slipping past guards and watchful eyes. The ship set sail, cutting silently through the dark waters as Crete faded into the distance. For a time, all was well. The sea was calm, and the stars shone brightly above. Theseus and Ariadne spent their evenings on deck, sharing stories and dreams for the future. But as they approached the island of Naxos, fate intervened. One night, Theseus was visited in his sleep by the god Dionysus. "Theseus," the god's voice echoed in his mind, "Ariadne is destined to be my bride. Leave her on Naxos, and your journey home will be blessed." Theseus awoke in a cold sweat. Bound by the divine command, he faced an agonizing decision. The next morning, he approached Ariadne as the ship docked at Naxos. "Let's rest here for a while," he suggested, masking his inner turmoil. They spent the day exploring the island's lush landscapes, but as night fell, Theseus slipped back to the ship with the other youths. "Prepare to sail," he ordered quietly. "But what about Ariadne?" one of them asked. "It's the will of the gods," he replied solemnly. "We must leave her." As the ship departed, Ariadne slept peacefully on the shore, unaware of her abandonment. When she awoke to find the ship gone, her cries echoed over the waves. Dionysus appeared before her, his presence radiant. "Do not weep, fair Ariadne," he consoled. "You are destined for greatness by my side." Meanwhile, consumed by guilt and sorrow, Theseus forgot his promise to his father. The black sails remained aloft as the ship neared Athens. King Aegeus, ever vigilant, spotted the vessel from his vantage point atop the cliffs. Seeing the dark sails, he was overcome with despair. "My son is dead," he whispered, anguish tearing at his soul. Unable to bear the grief, he threw himself into the sea below. When Theseus arrived and learned of his father's fate, he was stricken with remorse. "What have I done?" he lamented. "In saving my people, I have lost my father." Crowned the new king of Athens, Theseus vowed to honor his father's legacy. He instituted reforms to unify the city and fostered alliances that ushered in an era of prosperity. The tale of Theseus and the Minotaur is not merely a story of heroism but also a poignant reminder of the complexities of fate and the consequences of our choices. It teaches us that even the greatest of heroes are not immune to tragedy and that the paths we tread are often shaped by forces beyond our control. As we reflect on this ancient legend, we're reminded of the timeless themes of courage, sacrifice, love, and loss that continue to resonate through the ages. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey into the heart of Greek mythology. Until our next adventure, may the lessons of the past illuminate the paths of our future.